Welcome to another edition of OGAI AI. I am your host. We are talking AI, Fantasy Football Edition, and I should start by admitting we're probably not talking about much AI today. Because when I say AI, I'm thinking about a large language model, something that's amazing at finding patterns in predefined data sets. I said predefined data sets. My experience, these models aren't fantastic in going and finding the data and then analyzing the data and then compiling the data and then returning the data in a format I request. It's context windows, probably, but the simple fact is AI does a lot better when it's given the information it needs to analyze first. And okay, I have a goal here today for you. It is my goal that you're able to, before your fantasy football draft, look over all the players, all the stuff, figure out the people you want on your team, and know going into the draft, you're going to leave with those exact same people on your roster. And there's not many rules involved. I pointed out in the last video. I'll cover it with you right now. I know it's just numbers, but it's pretty exciting. Watch this. Here's a fantasy football list of the top 200 players for this fantasy football season. Are you ready for some football? I'm ready for some football. And for the past 2 years, I've been able to draft the team I wanted to have before I started. And it was by following a couple of rules that are all based on the same idea, that there really aren't any new analytical developments in football like there has been in baseball, like there has been in other sports. So here's the simple rules you got to follow if you want to pick everybody on your team before you get to the draft. And the rules are simply, in the first round, when the pick comes to you, in this example, we're picking number 6. You can take anybody in the top 20 for your next pick, your second round pick. You can take anybody who's listed here under number 2, which is blue, the ADP of 21 through 30. Then in the third round, you can take anybody with the ADP 31 through 40. Your fifth round pick has to be somebody who's got an ADP lower than 60. And then from there on out, it's just every 10, there's a different color, pick from that range. Essentially, you're staying 10 to 20 selections behind the average draft position, and nobody takes those people. Because the data says, the only data we have, this is the right person. And maybe when there was only 16 games, and most of them were at 105. Not 105, 125, 145 because of the flyover and the whatever thing that they had to do. Oh, and Tuesday night football and double Monday night footballs and Thursday night football. When there was only 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games in Monday night football and a Sunday nighter, maybe if you just took the best guys, you wouldn't get caught too much for not having players to fill the spots when you needed them. But that's not the football world we live in today for fantasy. Football's almost every day. And with all the injuries, all the schedule weirdness, there's people out there that are good backups, that are good complements to other players, not even necessarily the same position. And that's an area that isn't explored. In fact, my favorite podcast was on today doing a mock draft. And I think they got to the middle rounds and somebody said, well, it's time to go off ADP and just take who you like. And I was like, man, after 7 picks, we ran out of data. And I get that because according to the information we have, they do kind of look the same. We're going to talk over the next few weeks with some statistical background to it, how some of these complements are wildly better performers than others. And the big thing to remember is nobody wins fantasy football because your 14 players are better than somebody else's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and a flex. 7 people. That will help us get into more analysis. But for now, I'm going to show you what it looks like for the average person that walks in, right, to a draft and tries to pick the best team possible. Right? With the 6th pick, I'm going to take the best player available all the way down, but I'm also going to make sure I fill my roster out. Right? So number 1, yeah, I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown, PPR league, number 6 overall, that's a win. Now our next pick is number 15. Christian McCaffrey's there. He's won titles for people. I just took a wide receiver. Anyway, so McCaffrey's on the team. Going to the 3rd round now. Dude, Jonathan Taylor also has been, the number 1 or number 2 running back just a couple of seasons ago. Daniel Jones in town. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But he's on my team. Because McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor, not too bad. Next pick, Marvin Harrison Jr. Super stud in college. I love that. Into the 5th round. Holy cow. Jake Laporta. Laporta might be the 4th best tight end out there, I think. And he's solid. And we're going to need one, so I'm taking him. DK Metcalf. Come on. I like it. 7th round. Bo Nix is at the top. he had almost the same stats in the second half of the year as Daniels for Washington. They had almost the same points per game second half of the year. Amazing, right? Peyton offense. Okay, and speaking of Peyton offense, I'm a little late on running backs, right? Except for the two I have, and one of them gets hurt a little bit. So RJ Harvey out of Denver, seems like a good third running back for me. I don't know if you guys like the double tight end. I like taking a second tight end because if they're both good, someone will want them because there's so few good tight ends. So Njoku might be the only game in town there in Cleveland. He's on my roster. We're also just trying to go chalk, right? Highest rated player every spot. Travion Henderson. Come on, I grew up in New England. Probably not a bad guy to have on the team. And after 10 rounds, we've filled, 3 bench spots and our regular roster, not kicker and defense. So we should have a good idea of what our team looks like, right? Now, let's take a look at doing it instead of just best player at the position, of limiting ourselves to staying ahead of the ADP so we can choose our players before the draft and plan our team. So I went and looked at all the fun possible engines. Remember, we're still in July. I have no idea if these are going to work out or not. But I decided at quarterback I wanted to try Justin Fields, and I wanted to do the stack with the wide receiver Wilson. And second, I talked about the Detroit engine last year, so I'd be crazy at 6 if they had Gibbs here not to try to bring that engine in again next year, because you get to start both of them every week. So I wanted both of them because in this case, I'm going to get Gibbs, right? The New England guy. I researched that a little. Ramondre Stevenson was a top 20 running back last year, and the Patriots were horrible. Either one might be flex-worthy. Maybe they're both flex-worthy. So I'm going to grab both of them. Also, Matthew Stafford is throwing the ball to one of the best wide receivers I've ever watched. I'm starting to drool a little bit while I think about it. But what I did there is that's 2 picks for the Jets guys, 2 picks for the Detroit guys, 2 picks for the New England guys, 2 picks for the Rams guys. That's 8 picks. There's only 14 in the draft. There's only 6 picks left. Now there's kicker and defense, so that's 2. And when I went through and did my little trick, the rounds that I have to pick in, where I don't already have to pick one of those 8 people, I only have the 4th round, the 6th round, the 10th round, and the 12th round to even make picks. So let's take a look what happens. My number 1, Jahmyr Gibbs, which is right in line, one of the top players out there, right? Now, my second pick is at number 15. So by rights, if the draft goes chalk, I should have my choice of Drake London all the way down. But no, when we do the little game here, the second round pick has to be starting at the ADP 20 and down. So when I looked at this list, Garrett Wilson, the very end of the second round, I'm easily going to get him at a 30 ADP with the 15th overall pick. I'm getting him. Great. There's my wide receiver number 1. Now, for my third pick, the third pick, how about George Kittle? We need a tight end. Kittle's one of the 3, right? He gets hurt more than the other guys, but George Kittle's our third round pick. In the 4th round, Devonta Adams, welcome to my fantasy football team. I'm glad to have you. Next pick, David Montgomery's in here, and obviously we're doing that in the 5th round, make sure nobody else gets him. 6th pick from this box here, this is another one where we could take pretty much anybody. How about Travis Kelce? I do like having that second tight end, and who knows? Kelce could have something left in the tank. I'll be honest, that doesn't sound terrible to me. All right, here's where I want the New England running backs and Fields from the Jets at quarterback. So in a row, I took the quarterback first, and then the 2 Patriot running backs back to back. And yeah, Stafford down in the 12th round. So let's take a look at that team. In fact, there you go. So Fields at quarterback with Stafford backing him up if he doesn't work out. It's not terrible. Gibbs and Montgomery is the best in football right now. Wilson and Adams as my wide receivers don't sound terrible. Kittle's a really good tight end. And then I've got the New England pair and my flex spot. I've got Kelce on my bench as a backup tight end. And again, like I said, I got Stafford for Fields. Got my kicker and defense. So I still have 2 picks left. And yes, I have to get a wide receiver. Right? I only have 2 on the roster. However, I always do this because every week, 32 teams, 64 wide receivers suit up and walk onto the field, at least, and get significant playing time. But at the end of the day, let's look at the 2 put together, right? This is building an engine versus taking the best player available. And the engine's not designed to be front-loaded with 6 all-stars. It's supposed to be able to, even if there's weather, even if somebody twists an ankle before the game starts, let me be competitive and put points up at every position at a meaningful level week over week. If you follow this in your mock drafts, 9 times out of 10, you'll get every single person that you want. Thank you for joining this old guy talking AI. Have a great day.